Everfree Guardian, Chapter 7, Scars. 5 months. From just a single month to 5, Nathan Schmidt was now fully integrated and accustomed to his new life in Equestria. With his 4 friends, 3 outside the Everfree and 1 within, he found himself living a new lifestyle he never believed that he would have had before. After all of the action and danger with the first 2 weeks of his life in this world, things settled down and remained at the peaceful and harmonic level that Rarity had mentioned in their talk after escaping the Diamond Dogs. Over that time, he had further cemented his friendship with the fashionista, taking the time and making an effort to visit her boutique to offer an extra hand in her work, or just to hang out and chat. Rarity loved doing the latter, especially if it included gossip. Speaking of Rarity, the fashionista had been making new clothes for him. After coming back the second time, this time with the gems from the caves that the two left behind, Rarity had finally discovered that he was not a pony, after undressing him against his will to get the measurements. Fluttershy, being there with him, explained the situation and how he was not a monkey, but a similar being known as a human. She had done so with her eyes closed, as when Rarity undressed him, she had undressed everything. Or attempted to. Nate had managed to keep his upper body from being fully unclothed, his hood staying over his head, but his lower half, though, showed something different. Both Rarity and Fluttershy were staring at 2 legs similar to a pony's, but with the obvious lack of a fur, and a certain third leg that hung in front of the fashionista's face. While not as impressive as a stallion's, Nate found it surprising that his natural size had seemingly doubled. What was once a 6-inch was now 12 or 13 in length and 5 centimeters in diameter, and all this without being erect. What the fuck happened? When the fuck did this happen? He looked at himself several days ago and saw normalcy. Now, after everything, he can actually call this thing a magnum. What did... Wait a minute. That incident with Zakora a while back, did his adventures in the Everfree... Oh, shit. The poison joke. The poison joke had affected him all along. No wonder he had felt strange after the introduction to Zakora. That damn plant doubled the length of his wiener and widened it to a mare's standards. What the hell was the joke in... You know what? I don't think anyone here or there needs to know what the punchline is. Anyways, Rarity now understands what Nathan Schmidt really is and why it was so important for him to stay hidden in the shadows. Having taken measurements, while teasing him of course, Rarity had a full wardrobe of familiar casual clothing and formal wear custom made the next day. Each and every article of clothing that resembled something that goes over a shirt and had a hood to accompany it. Even the formal attire had hoods large enough to hide his face. It was perfect. That all happened shortly after his job with Rarity. Nowadays, he's gotten into the habit of helping all 3 mares, plus Zakora. His constant back and forth favors allow him to learn something new every time. Whether it be about ponies, magic, or the world of Equus itself, it was never unwelcome in the ever-growing mind of the human. Now, with a 5-month anniversary of his arrival passing, he was now given something akin to vacation. Applejack had notified him of her trip to Appaloosa, a western country town south of the Everfree, and after all of his hard work, she wanted him to take the next month off to prepare and brave through the coming of winter. Ugh, winter. If there was one thing Nate hated in nature more than anything, it was winter. Not because of the snow, but because of the batshit insane freezing temperatures. Nate had always grudged against the extreme temperatures of summer and winter, choosing fall or spring over either of them any time of the year. That being said, he still looked forward to the holidays that came with the frozen bastard of the seasons. Christmas and Valentine's Day were still a thing here, only now they were bunched closer together and called Hearth's Warming and Hearts and Hooves Day respectively. Nate wasn't really expecting to be spending these holidays with anyone, really. I mean, what point is there to a holiday that resembles the gift of family when you have none at all? It depressed him, made him drink some of the apple cider his boss provided during the season. Made him think deeply upon times long past. Fate did seem to take exception to this, as somehow, someway, his 3 friends found themselves at his front porch, all wearing Christmas-themed outfits, some more revealing than others, and holding gifts. Seeing them smile and stand there in their Christmas cheer made Nate remember that he technically did have a family, just not one bound by blood. Friends are an extension of one's family after all, and it wasn't like Nate didn't have gifts for them as well. Inviting them in, he sat at his table as the girls got a good look at the inside of his house for the first time ever. Considering the one-room concept, they definitely found it unique amongst the other homes that they've come and gone to, but it made it all the more cozy. With no walls bordering each section of the house, they were always together, save for the bathroom of course. To the quartet, that was enough. Nate was initially worried that the 3 weren't going to spend their holidays with their actual families, but they all explained that they planned their festivities early for this specific reason. It's the whole reason that they've made themselves scarce in the last month of their growing friendship. That touched Nate's heart in a way that he was unfamiliar with. It was a gracious feeling that he's long since forgotten, but was happy to feel again. On and on the night went, the four spending time playing games, talking to each other, joking around, and eventually eating a dinner spread worthy of hearts-warming. During dinner, the discussions varied in topics, mostly ranging from standard life to obscure gossips fresh on Ponyville's block. However, one subject made Nate pause. Fluttershy finally asked why Nate still had the hood on, why he was so persistent in hiding himself away from the world and from them. They loved him, saw him as one of their few closest friends. Did he not feel the same way? His answer said otherwise.
It's not so easy or simple for me, Fluttershy. I've been living in isolation for more than 7 years, and just recently that turned to 8 before I met all of you.
Nate set his fork down as he stared at the food that lay in front of him, his preference of meat leaving him with a slice of ham with the common vegetables off to the side.
I've got a lot to regret. A lot of things I wish could have happened differently. But there's very few things I've done here that I think could have been done different.
He ushered a Rarity as all three of them were now listening, their attention solely on the Everfree Guardian as his heart began to bleed for them.
The only thing I have regrets for is Rarity seeing me like, well, me. The true me. The brute made from bad experiences and blood. The one I try to hide behind a mask.
He drifted that same hand up to the ring of his hood, tugging on it as he shuddered to himself.
This hood. You guys often ask me why I still uphold the whole secret identity thing. Truth is, it was never like that. I don't have anything to hide from anyone, despite the obvious secrets I keep from you. Right now, that drive to hurt, to maim and kill, I know I would do what I did to the Diamond Dogs to anyone else who would take the freedom and innocence from people who don't deserve it. I would cause that bloodbath right now if I had the chance. That's just how things are for me, but after doing it, after tearing people apart without remorse or second thoughts, and in front of those I hold close in this kingdom, now more than ever, after knowing what I've become in the past, I couldn't ever catch myself looking at the face that started it all. I don't want to chance it.
Bringing his hand away, he turned and stood up, walking to his fridge to get another bottle of apple cider. Figured if he was going to tell the story, he might as well be 2% drunker.
When it all started out for me, the hood was meant to hide my fears, to keep my little sister from seeing that I was scared. If she ever saw me as anything other than the big and strong brother that can stand up to anything, well, you get the picture. The hood now represents something different. I don't want to relive the more horrifying details, but the hood is there to keep me from seeing the monster that I am. Seeing my own face would force me to confront that fact no matter how hard I try to bury it. It was still me that did those things in my youth. I'm used to hiding myself from me. I tricked my mind into thinking I'm still okay.
Popping the cap off, he took a swig as he leaned against the counter. Sighing as he let it down, he placed the cider on the same counter as he took a breath.
If I dwell on the things I've done, hundreds of people I've killed, all when I was a fucking kid no less, I worry I'll just turn into some soulless mockery of my former self.
Applejack, Rarity, and Fluttershy all saddened their expressions as he pressed his hands against the corner of the island between the kitchen and dining room, rubbing his fingers against the smooth stone.
I've changed. I know I've changed. We all do in time, but even if I still do these things, I know I can't stop myself when the triggers are pulled. I still try my hardest to keep in mind what I'm doing is wrong, even if it's for the right reasons. But if I lose sight of my morals, then I'm no better than the evil I fought before coming to Equestria.
But you aren't.
Nate shook his head, stopping Fluttershy from speaking as he continued.
I will never justify what I do, Fluttershy. I can't ever look back and guess what would change if I did things differently. I have to live with what I do and what I continue to be. I'm not a human or a pony. Just a monster trying to do right by others in the most gruesome way possible.
He ushered to them all now, his eyes barely visible with the light outside and inside. They could faintly make out an uncertain expression, a look laced with fear for the uncertain and the unknown. A face they're all familiar with.
Which is why I don't know how to react to the idea of us. Just thinking about it makes me scared.
Fluttershy was almost in tears when he finished, both incredibly disheartened and gleeful. She was happy that her human friend was opening up to her. Sure, Nate had alluded to things about himself here and there, his insecurities and strengths, but never before has he been this thorough. He was practically pouring his very soul out in response to her one single question. This holiday was just what she needed to get him to open up and talk to her. But at the same time, she felt so incredibly guilty for pushing him to do so. She knew that Nate's trauma came from past experiences, those frenzies of anger and rage came from immense sadness, both mentally and emotionally. He was so unstable, and now here she was learning that he hides himself away to keep himself from seeing his face. It was a mark of great shame that lingered and stained his heart. Applejack was appalled to hear about any of this now. She wasn't the element of honesty for no reason, she knew Nate was always hiding something from her. But back then, she was so unfamiliar with him that it wasn't any of her business. But after growing close to her new favorite worker for the months that rolled by, after bonding through hard work, she'd expected him to be more honest with himself too. Apples are nothing, if not honest. Rarity had no outwards reaction in Nate's monologue. Becoming who she was took a lot of sacrifice, a lot of things that she felt ashamed for. Fashion was a grueling business if you weren't prepared for the blood, sweat, and mistakes that would lie ahead. Shame was forever welded into Rarity's own heart. However, she had plenty of things to bounce her back into shape. Many things. And one very huge safety net that Nate didn't have. Parents or siblings. This poor guy just wanted to live his life and protect his family, but then he just ended up getting a shit hand from life. Poor dude needs some stress relief. Not that kind. Anywho, let's get on to our relaxed donators. Top donators are 630, J10 Man, Darkside, Only One Thing, and Ceru Orion. Rayden, Narwhals, Black Moonheart, Pastel Skies, Austin Roland, Stu Hex, Sword Brethren Mortred, Omicron Lyrae, Will, Chris, Twinkie, Hadzaza, Riot Soul, Iron Sky, Badass Waffle, Shadow Moon, and many more beautiful people. Thank you both so much for watching this video and live life to the fullest.